Oh, nice
Happy
you recording.
Friday.
Hi, Minhua. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Hi, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing great right now. Very fortunate. Health is good, and it is beautifully beautiful and sunny out here.
Absolutely. This has been a beautiful week. Weather is superb. Want to introduce yourself again? This becomes our new routine now every Friday.
Adam Barreto, mortgage loan officer, trying to provide some sort of expertise to our listeners.
I am Minhua Gu, Realtor with California Association of Real Estate, National Association of Realtors as well. I'm here to provide service, assistance, and facts. So, are you
I
ready
like
to
that.
dive right in?
I'm ready. Let's go. Game
Okay.
is on.
So, we've been talking about forbearance for the past 2 to 3 weeks. And you talked about the lump sum payment possibility. Can you share with us some update? I think I recently saw Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac put out regarding the lump sum payment if anybody takes on forbearance.
Yeah, so I mean, you pretty much said it. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac came out last week stating that there will not require any lender cannot require a lump sum payment, which is good. But there's some additional information that I think we're still pending. I think last week we sort of touched on the fact that Freddie Mac was specified on how your credit would be rated a little bit differently. It doesn't affect it essentially, but they are coding it a little differently. So as far as the forbearance is concerned, yes, the best news this week was the fact that they are not allowing these companies to charge to charge you a lump sum payment. So at least that's some security.
I also see from market reports there's modest single digit rise of new loan application. Have you seen any increase of new loan application this past week?
Yes. So we're getting an influx of new pre-approvals. I think everyone's anticipating. We've been in this state for, I think, going on 7 weeks now. And I think people are getting a little bit over it. And with some of not to say that everything's going to be lifted soon, but at least there's some phases that they're trying to implement now to get us closer to going back to some sort of normalcy. And so I think people are realizing that, and with school out for the rest of the year, I think people are beginning to get that itch to buy something. So we are seeing an influx of new applications. Quick
Yeah.
before I get on you about this,
Uh-huh.
so I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of, rates are still down. We're still in excellent position. FHA is still fully active. There are some new guidelines, some overlays that different companies are putting on there. Just again, a little notice to everybody, whoever your lender is, just make sure that you verify that the guidelines haven't changed too much on you and that you still qualify for your purchase power. So things are still looking really good. We still anticipate rates staying down for some time. And yeah, so happy hunting.
Okay. Since you mentioned that, can you give us a quick summary of bullet points, the new or the most updated guidelines for FHA loan qualification? For example,
So
credit score, debt income ratio.
So it's not necessarily an FHA adjustment as much as it's overlays from each lender.
Mm.
So some of the overlays I've heard was 60 credit score to qualify. Some where the system, our DU system or LP system, didn't require reserves. Some of these mortgage lenders are requiring 3 months to 6 months of reserves to use this. So those are the things. Again, each lender is a little bit different. Whoever you're banking with, whoever your loan, your potential loan is going to go through, just make sure that you understand what they're asking for. The worst thing that can happen is to finally find your home, your dream home, right? and then find out that you can't do it, and then you're scrambling to find an alternative. So this just gives you, you know, at least you have to do your best to always educate yourself, right? And so, you know, reach out to your lender and just ask them, has any new guidelines occurred, overlays with your company, just to get a little bit more insight of where you stand.
My internet possibly went out for a second when you talk about that credit score. Can you repeat that credit score one more time?
So different lenders have different credit score overlays. FHA does not. They still are operating the same as I believe it's 580 currently, but each lender has adjusted their willingness to lend at that point. So
buyers who are in that bracket credit score is in the 600 instead of 700. If they are in 700, they know they have good credit. But a lot of people who has a credit score in the 600s are wondering if they are qualified for anything. That's why I was asking you to just to clarify that requirement.
Over the last several weeks, you've brought up this U shape, right, of how the market's turning. So where are we at right now with that?
There are indications we are reaching the bottom, not necessarily snapping right back. I know you asked me last week if we are seeing the bottom yet. So of course, economics and markets are always 2020 hindsight. So after we finish this, we can say, oh, in week 7 or on May the 1st, we saw the bottom. But there are a lot of indicators. For example, I just asked you, the new loan application has seen some very modest single digits increase. Pending sales has seen some modest increase for the last 3 weeks. The same with the new listing. However, in comparison to the pre-crisis, of course, the number is very low. So pending sales means people possibly virtually saw the home or saw the home in person and put in an offer, and the offer went in escrow, and hopefully these transaction will close. That means those sales will be completed. Last but not least, we also actually seen increasing private showings. So that is possibly the most important indicator that even though the market is not fully recovered yet, that market is starting to stabilize and possibly reaching the bottom.
Nice. So I'm sure everybody's curious about this one because I know I am. How are like sales prices? Like obviously listings are, you know, it is what it is, right? They can post it whatever they want to, but what do the actual sales look like? Have they done like a slight decrease? Have they dropped considerably over the last several weeks? What are your thoughts?
So price per square foot is pretty stable across California this whole past months in March and in April. I know a lot of buyers are anticipating major discount, but we talk about behavior and psychology a few weeks back. Sellers are not willing to adjust the price yet. So eventually people enter a purchase price that's pretty stable and will close on that pretty stable price. And believe it or not, any homes that are under or at the median home price for single family home, which is 660,000-ish before we enter the crisis, are still experiencing bidding wars and overbidding. So one of my buyers just went to see a home in Lakewood. That home received 15 offers. Mentioned early on, the market that's really affected possibly more is the high-end $1 million home.
So within our local market, I mean, have you seen any changes? I mean, we obviously live in the Lakewood, Long Beach area, borderline to Bellflower, Downey, and Artesia, and so forth. So I'm just wondering, have you seen anything different, any kind of weird trends or anything like that? Or, I mean, what are your thoughts about our local market?
I honestly haven't seen any abnormal trends. I want to say abnormal trends would be home price dropped like more than 10%. There's absolutely no such trends at all. I didn't also see a huge drop of added new listings, at least on those blogs I am watching. However, I do feel maybe the pending sales period or escrow period is a little bit longer than usual. So it might take a little bit longer for those transactions to be completed.
Those are my questions this week.
Excellent. And I think next week we are going to talk about fundamentals of purchasing a home and applying new loans. So everybody stay tuned. Thank you again, Adam, for your insights and the information. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you, Minhua. I always appreciate being on with you. You have a great weekend as well.
Thank you. Bye, Adam.
Bye.